What I will not do, okay, is to pay bandits, give them monthly allowance, or send food to them in the name of non-kinetic. It's nonsense. We are empowering bandits. It's not the government of Kaduna State. It's a national policy driven by the Office of National Security Advisor, and Kaduna is part of it. Many states are objecting to that, but that is the policy now. Kiss the bandits. That's the new policy. My position has always been the only repentant bandit is a dead one. Let's kill them all. Let's wipe them. Let's bomb them until they are reduced to nothing. And then the 5% that still want to be rehabilitated can be rehabilitated. You do not negotiate from a position of weakness. You don't empower your enemy. You don't give him money to go and buy more sophisticated weapons. That's why the insecurity problem has not gone away and will not go away as long as this policy continues.
We said we were not going to negotiate on the position of weakness. And that's why we came all out, because we learned from the experience that we have had during the last administration. Government was begging criminals to come for truce.
Many people are into this banditry. It is so localized to the extent that you cannot even establish who is with the bandit and who is not with the bandit.
Nigeria bleeds today, from the villages of Zamfara to the highways of Kaduna, from the schools of Katsina to the farmlands of Sokoto. Families are displaced, children are kidnapped in their hundreds, farmers abandon their farmlands, and traders are freed of open road. Banditry, once dismissed as a local menace, has now become a national nightmare. It is no longer about stolen cattle, it is about power, fear and control. And into this chaos, former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai drops a political grenade. He accuses the federal government of not only just failing in its duty, but of actively empowering bandits. His words echo loudly because they speak to what Nigerians already whisper. Could it be that those who want to protect us are indirectly strengthening those who kill us? This documentary explores that dangerous possibility, from the history of banditry to the government's controversial policies to Nasir El-Rufai's own battles and the uncomfortable question of who benefit from this endless war. Because the real tragedy is not just that Nigeria is under attack. The tragedy is that Nigeria may be fighting with one hand and feeding the enemy with the other. To understand today's crisis, we must go back to where it all started from. Banditry did not just appear in a vacuum. Its roots lies in decades of poverty, inequality and neglect. In the dusty forests of Zamfara, Kaduna, Katsina and Niger, life was already hard. Communities were trapped between droughts, unemployment and broken governance. In the beginning, banditry was simple: cattle rustling. Young men armed with Dane guns and machetes raided herders, stealing cows. It was crime, yes, but not yet the monster it would become. Over time, farmer-herder clashes escalated, climate changes worsened grazing struggles, traditional dispute settling mechanisms collapsed, and into that vacuum, armed gangs emerged. By the mid-2000s, these gangs were no longer stealing cows. They were born in villages. By 2011, they were kidnapping locals. By 2014, after the Chibok abduction by Boko Haram shook the world, bandits copied the same method. School children became commodities. Fear became currency. Weapons flowed easily across Nigerians' porous borders. After the fall of Gaddafi in Libya, arms flooded West Africa. What once were gangs of rustlers became militaries, wielding AK-47s, rocket-propelled grenades, and motorcycles that could strike dozens of villages in one night. And Nigerian security forces, overstretched, under-equipped, sometimes even complicit, villagers cried for help. The numbers tell the story. Between 2011 and 2024, over 12,000 people were killed in bandit-related violence in the northwest alone. More than 300,000 people displaced, turning once thriving communities into ghost towns. By 2021, school abductions skyrocketed, with over 1,000 children kidnapped in a single year. What began as survival crimes mutilated into an economy of violence. Banditry became a billion-naira industry. Kidnap ransoms worth millions, exchange hands. Illegal mining in Zamfara funded new weapons, and the circle deepened. Now to the question: how did Nigeria allow petty criminals to transform into regional warlords? The uncomfortable answer lies in what government chose to do next. Response that critics say empowered instead of weakened. Here is where Nasir El-Rufai's accusation hits hardest. The Nigerian states, desperate for quick solution that many experts argued were disastrous. Number 1, amnesty and reintegration. In Zamfara, Katsina and other states, government announced amnesty deals. Bandits who repented were promised money, housing and vocational training. On paper, it looked like a peace process. In reality, many bandits handed over a few new rifles, collected incentives, and then returned to the forest to rearm. Amnesty became business, and crime became profitable. Now to the second one. Number 2, ransom payments. Though officially denied, Nigerians know the truth. Government, traditional rulers and communities have paid ransom. From the release of abducted students in Kankara to the Greenfield University students in Kaduna to countless unnamed villages, money exchanged hands. Each ransom only strengthened the bandits. It gave them more funds to buy weapons, more motorcycles, and satellite phones. Abduction became a market, and Nigerians became the merchandise. Number 3, negotiations with killers. Instead of declaring war, some leaders chose dialogue. In Katsina, officials openly met bandit leaders, treating them as stakeholders. Cameras captured men who have slaughtered innocent Nigerians being welcomed at government houses and in government meetings. To ordinary citizens, this was betrayal. How could murderers be given seats at the table while victims' cries went unheard? 4, weak prosecution and impunity. On the rare occasions when bandits were captured, justice almost never followed. Weak cases, political interference, and a broken judicial system meant most walked free. The signal to criminals were clear: you can kill, abduct, and terrorize without consequences. And this is where El-Rufai stood apart. He rejected amnesty, rejected ransom, rejected negotiation. He demanded one thing only: force. You don't negotiate with terrorists, he said, you crush them. Yet, while he made that stand in Kaduna, Abuja played a different game. And so the question depends: were these policies acts of desperation or act of empowerment? Nasir El-Rufai is not a quiet politician. From his early days as minister to his 2 terms as governor, he built reputation for bluntness, sometimes arrogance, but always bold. In Kaduna, he faced perhaps the deadliest wave of banditry in Nigeria. Communities like Beringwari became synonymous with bloodshed. The Abuja-Kaduna highway turned into a death trap. Even military installations were attacked. El-Rufai repeatedly clashed with the federal government. He accused Abuja of timidity, of hypocrisy, and of wasting resources. He demanded airstrikes on bandit camps. He urged the declaration of bandits as terrorists years before it was done. He accused security agencies of leaking intelligence, and he insisted that negotiation was nothing but surrender. But critics point out El-Rufai himself once admitted to paying headers across borders to stop attacks in the early years. Was this not the same strategy he condemned later, they ask. His supporters argue that he learned from experience that paying criminals only emboldens them. His critics argue that he was simply shifting blame to Abuja. And then there is politics. El-Rufai, a key player in the APC before now, was seen as both a loyalist to Buhari Was his criticism of the federal government entirely about insecurity or also about building his image as the man who speaks truth when others are silent? Or maybe he's trying to push the APC government aside and then show that with the ADC emerging, they might have what it takes to fight banditry. Still, whatever his motive is, his words resonated because they reflected a bitter truth. Nigerians already believed their government was too soft, too slow, and too compromised. The battle lines were drawn. El-Rufai's call for crushing force versus Abuja's policy of negotiation and appeasement. Now, beyond accusations, we must ask, why has Nigeria, despite its vast military, its wealth, and its promises, failed to defeat insecurity? The reasons cut deep into the nation's governance and politics. 1. Corruption in defense spending. Every year, billions are budgeted for security, yet soldiers complain of poor weapons, unpaid allowances, and lack of basic gear. In 2021, Nigeria ranked among the top spenders on defense in Africa, yet bandits with motorcycles outmaneuvered troops with armed vehicles. Investigations revealed scandals in Nigerian procurement, contracts awarded but never executed, ghost purchases, money meant for guns ending up in private pockets. When corruption eats the heart of defense, how can victory come? 2. Sabotage and complicity. Reports abound of security leaks. Villages warn the army of attacks, yet no response comes. Soldiers set ambushes only for bandits to change course for want. Could it be that insiders profit from the war? Could some within the system prefer chaos to peace? 3. Politics of labels. For years, the government refused to call bandits terrorists. Why? Critics say it was about ethnic and political sensitivities. To designate them terrorists would mean harsher action, international pressure, and uncomfortable truths. The delay gave bandits pace to grow. 4. Federal versus state power. Governors in Nigeria often lament their helplessness. Security lies with the federal government. A governor cannot command the army or deploy the police without Abuja. Yet Abuja is distant, bureaucratic, and often slow. The result, local leaders closest to the danger are often powerless to act. 5. Socio-economic roots. Nigeria has millions of unemployed youths, broken schools, collapsing rural economies. For many young men, banditry is not just crime, it is a livelihood. Unless poverty is addressed, the forest will always recruit. Together, these reasons form a perfect storm: corruption, sabotage, politics, and poverty. And so, Nigeria fights banditry not like a determined nation at war, but like a state half-heartedly shadow boxing its own demons. Here lies the dark truth. In every prolonged conflict, there are winners. While the masses bleed, while villages burn, some profit. Bandit leaders, they profit. They collect billions in ransom. They control illegal mining in Zamfara gold fields. They buy loyalty with cash and guns. The politicians, some allegedly use bandits to suppress votes, intimidate opponents, or manipulate elections. In chaotic areas, rigging tries. The next is security contractors. Endless insecurity means endless contracts, procurement, logistics, intelligence. War becomes business. The local power brokers. For some traditional rulers, middlemen, and negotiators, banditry has created new channel of influence. And this is why El-Rufai's accusation resonates when he says that the government is empowering bandits. Perhaps it is not through deliberate policy, but through a system where too many profit from insecurity. Because if peace comes tomorrow, billions in contracts would dry up, political tools would vanish, influence would shrink. And so Nigeria is trapped in a war where the enemy is not just in the forest, but also allegedly in the corridors of power. Let's return to the question. Is the federal government empowering bandits? Directly? Perhaps not. But indirectly through ransom payments, amnesty deals, corruption, sabotage, and political cowardice, it has done exactly that, as alleged by Nasir El-Rufai. It has created an environment where bandit thrives, where crime pays, where terror reigns. And the bitter truth is this: Nigeria is not losing this war because it lacks weapons or soldiers. Nigeria is losing because too many do not want the war to end. The victims, the ordinary people, the farmer who cannot return to his farmland, the mother who waits for a child abducted from school, the community erased from the map. And so the haunting question remains: when will Nigeria finally decide that enough is enough? Until that day comes, El-Rufai's world would not just be an accusation, they will be the mirror of a nation still bleeding.